Hi, I'm Peter Santoscano, and this is Bubble and Squeak, a podcast with uncanny sounds, funny interludes, and stories, most weird, many true. Here's Season 4, Episode 5. Today's show comes in 3 parts. Part 1, queer author Ryan LaSala and the queer horror story, The Dead of Summer. Part 2, a message from the evil spirit that lives inside Donald Trump. Part 3, a sound slice from a political rally in Richmond, Virginia. Ryan LaSala is a best-selling and award-winning queer author. He writes about surreal things happening to queer people. His debut horror novel, The Honeys, is in development to become a major motion picture. Ryan joined me in the studio to talk about his most recent book, The Dead of Summer.
I am queer. I use he, they pronouns. I consider myself gender fluid. I'm a huge weeb. I love anime and video games. The big lamentation of my life is that I don't have more time to play a lot of the expansive games that have come out recently because I'm too busy writing. If I wasn't writing books, I would be doing storytelling some other way. I spend all of my time alone with my cat, just sitting in a room thinking the most horrific things I can think and then writing them down.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I really need so much therapy, and I'm really not getting enough. Let me tell you that.
You've written a very queer, horror-driven book, your newest book. For Americans, especially groups of marginalized people, we're living in a contemporary horror story. Mass migrations, anti-trans rhetoric and legislation, incredible climate change denial. So why write horror genre when life is so frightening?
Because life is so frightening, because we need the ability to talk about the things that scare us. Some people find it really hard to kind of look directly at things and monsters that don't necessarily have a face. But if you hold up the dark mirror of a horrific story, it gives a focal point to start to address things that are malignant in our own world. Hopefully, it gives us some bravery and some idea of how we might also endure or might also survive to the other side. If I had to write the genre of my own life growing up, there's a lot of joy there and a lot of queerness and a lot of theatricality, but I would have to shelve it in horror because it was defined by a sense that I was being stalked by a monster that I couldn't really even see. And many queer people have to commingle their joy and their victory and their triumph with a sense that at any moment something horrific could happen to them. A large part of why we have community is because we need sanctuary, and we sort of provide that to one another. It's a little bit familiar to me to put characters into these positions. And yet, the characters I don't think would make it to the end or be able to be as fantastic as they are if they weren't queer, if they weren't approaching problem solving through a queer lens. So The Dead of Summer, right, it takes place on this queer community haven called Anchor's Mercy. These places, they exist, right? Like Provincetown is the version that I was sort of familiar with. The tourism's good for the economy of these places, but there is sort of this sense of invasion. And so that's why when writing this book, especially a book about contagion and outbreak, I didn't want the queer community to be saddled with the stigma of causing this. Ultimately, the community does take measures to stop the spread of something in their community, but it's the bachelorettes who resist and defy the stay-at-home order because they've got to have their karaoke and they're the birthday girl and, what have you, right? That entitlement to these spaces, and it ends up imperiling everybody. Ollie, the main character, he's born and raised on this island and has kind of watched his mom time and time again put on this big show every summer for people. And now she's sick. And Ollie thinks that there's something about the island that is making just the townies sick, just the people who can't leave it. His journey is figuring out what that could mean and how to get to the bottom of it and how to take those secrets that are kind of rotting beneath the soil and pry them to the surface.
You have been calling it an eco-horror.
Yes. Ecological horror, it's not just that there's something in the water kind of rising out of the ocean to spread across the land. I'm also talking about the ecology of communities and how the ecology of a queer community has to deal with its own types of invasions. Eco-horror often looks at mankind's balance against nature when it's pushed a little bit too far and when nature lashes back out.
There's so many things I really love about The Dead of Summer. I love, maybe because I'm an old queen myself, the characterizations of the older queer folks on the island.
Yeah, you don't see that many depictions of like intergenerational queerness all in the same story. I wanted to set down a cast of characters where you've got generations. Even when those generations are gone, right, you're able to access their stories. A lot of these generations had to make really hard decisions in order to just survive past that particular point. Part of Ollie's story, at least for me in this, is coming to terms with the hard decisions that people before him had no choice but to make so that a sanctuary like his could survive, to the point that he's able to take that torch, make the same sort of hard decisions, and hopefully keep this place alive and available for future generations. If you're looking at the cover, you're going to notice that there is this really sort of beautiful coral bursting out of a human-like figure. That's intentional. I chose something sort of pelagic in nature, something Cnidarian is the specific section of taxonomy where you'll find like jellyfish and sea anemones and corals, because they are an animal, but they require symbiosis. They require a really delicate and elegant balance between themselves and their own ecosystems, that when that's tilted one way or another, they can either grow out of control or they can bleach and whiten and vanish. I wanted to create something kind of delicate and kind of beautiful that is still scary, that is still monstrous. Something we haven't really seen. I mean, when people read or write about like zombies or things that come back from the dead, it's always the same colors, right? But I wanted to create something kind of bejeweled and encrusted and oceanic that felt completely new, yet a little bit familiar at the same time.
And a bit snotty, too, at first.
They're called weepers in the book, if you're curious. And Ollie's got a sadness in him that he really can't keep inside any longer when the book begins. The monsters that he ends up confronting are these weeping, ecstatic beings.
And you can potentially touch the ooze, but if it enters one of your orifices, your eyes, your mouth, whatever, you're infected, which reminded me about how horror movies in the 90s had a lot to do with body fluids. As we were dealing with the HIV/AIDS crisis, so many of the scariest creatures were oozy.
Yeah. Vector for contagion that is based in tears that drown you from the inside out, to me, began as a metaphor, but it definitely has real world inspiration.
Yes, I am here. And I am pure evil. I am the spirit that dwells inside of one Donald Trump. Yes. I have possessed him and his soul. Which, is not the best gig one could have, but this has been a long-term project of mine, possessing Donald Trump. Some days I'm like, what were you thinking? Why? Well, I'm evil. I'm pure evil. What do you expect? That's what we do. We're evil. Does evil have to explain itself? Also, I'm not happy. People are very apathetic, and this annoys me. The zombies. I don't like zombies. I want people afraid. I want them angry. But zombies, I can't do nothing. I can do nothing with a zombie. It's like making love to a corpse, which can have its benefits, but, that gets old. No, there's so many things to be frightened of and angry about. Climate change, for instance, which was not my doing, by the way. I wish. That's brilliant. I think it's evil, but no, it actually was greed, which is a different division of evil. I'm even afraid of climate change, and I'm evil. So I don't know what to tell you, except that things have gone to shit. No, they're not gone to shit, gone to hell in the handbasket. Yes. And that handbasket is on fire. It has been for decades. You're waiting for climate change, yeah? It showed up. Long time ago. But see, you're sleepers! Anyway, I thought it would be a diversion to have this Donald Trump possess him, make him do crazy shit. Very easy to pull those strings. And I think I'm done. I think I've done enough chaos. We may just kill him at some point inside. Dead inside, not physically. What do you think, I'm crazy? I know that they're listening. You think I'm evil? That surveillance system that goes back to 9/11, it just kept going on and on and on in England. And In the UK and the US, that's evil. Not my evil. That's kind of creepy evil. I don't do creepy evil. That's a different division altogether. Why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you all this because it gets boring sometimes being. I'm not saying I'm getting soft and I want to do something nice. God forbid. But I think I might want to shake things up a little bit. Thus, Zoran Mamdani. Yeah. It was not evil move, but boy. Freaks the hell out of some people. I got to go. We've got a Zoom meeting, quarterly evil Zoom meeting, which talk about evil. Zoom. Okay, I got to go.
Let me set the scene for you. I'm in Richmond, Virginia. It's 10 months after Donald Trump's re-election. I gathered next to the state capitol with thousands of people who showed up for the No Kings rally and march. Some are dressed as dinosaurs or pastel-colored sharks. In the middle of the crowd, I see Waldo. Well, a protester, dressed as the Where's Waldo character. A string of presenters addresses the crowd.
First and foremost, we must oppose any and all forms of U.S. intervention and demand our taxpayer dollars stop funding a war machine. From Haiti to Palestine, American intervention is never about freedom. It is never about democracy. It's about control, exploitation, and maintaining a global order that benefits billionaires at the expense of our livelihoods. But this is not enough. We need community defense. Richmond Defensa is the answer. We need a mass approach. We need to build towards a general strike.
It's a resurgence of a World War II movement to show people you're safe. And we have resistance frogs to celebrate the dude standing outside ICE in Portland.
Nice. Wow.
It's very cool.
The ruling class fears our will to grow into our revolutionary potential. And it shows in their attacks and their propaganda alone. The fight is in the streets, and that's where we'll stay. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo
Unido. Jamás será
vencido. Thank you.
Everybody, look around up on the hill and look at the people that have joined us. Look at this. On November the 2nd, SCLC 5051, Richmond Indivisible, the NAACP, we will be having a march starting at Martin Luther King Middle School, coming to the bell tower. It's at 3 o'clock on November the 2nd. I represent SCLC. You know we paying our dues with the Montgomery bus boycott.
Yeah.
Do it again. We're going to do it again. Will you do us a favor? Say, united we stand.
United we
United
stand.
we stand.
United we stand.
United we stand.
United we stand.
It should be good. We'll have a couple more speeches before they start. There'll also be partner organizations that will be tabling. Go to those tables, see what they are doing. Those are mutual aid organizations, those are direct action organizations. Get involved, because that's the only way we are going to solve this problem. So the plan is, we're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Bubble and Squeak. Learn more about Ryan LaSala by visiting ryanlasala.com. Music on today's show comes from epidemicsound.com. There's also a video version of this podcast at my YouTube channel. Bubble and Squeak is produced by me, Peterson. I mostly make this show for myself. Oh, and for Harlan, who listens, smiling while he walks. You can catch me on Blue Sky, X, and TikTok, or you can find me just walking around Sunbury, Pennsylvania. Oh, and thanks for listening.